So number 1, think of something that makes you happy. Think good thoughts. Now I know this is a very generic tip, but it works. The next tips will be more specialized, so keep watching. Basically, just start thinking or imagining something that makes you happy, whether that be a special place, a super amazing dessert, or someone in your life. Start thinking about the thing, and if you have to, draw it. Even if the drawing is bad, it will help your brain remember memories associated with it, and will lead us to tip number 2, distract yourself. If you can, try to distract your mind, focusing on the panic attack. Your fidgeting, your increased heart rate, and whatever may have caused the panic attack will only make it worse. Instead, try to distract your mind with something like a phone game, learning new facts online, or talking to someone. Change the environment from when the panic attack started. For example, if you're in a mall, try to go outside. If you're in a hotel room, go to the lobby. It will psychologically reset your mind through the environment and might affect the panic attack. Tip number 3, pace. Basically, this is a coping mechanism. Here's a psychological tip that you won't find anywhere else. So for me, when I have a panic attack, my heart races and I feel super jittery. To combat this, I like to start pacing. Now I know this is a general coping mechanism, but for me, it definitely reduces the anxiety I feel when I'm having an attack. I usually pace around in a circle. My theory is that your heart is pumping all this extra blood and nutrients and hormones into your body, but it doesn't need them. Well, give them a purpose. Start pacing, moving those muscles, pumping that blood all around your body, and give your heart an outlet to beat fast. Give it a reason to beat fast. Make sure not to overdo it though, or it will actually raise your heartbeat even higher. Tip number 4, eat balanced meals. So eating a healthy meal and staying nutritionally healthy is vitally important to reducing stress in general, but it will also reduce the severity of your panic attacks. I highly recommend consulting a professional physician to get great information about what to eat and when to eat it. As a baseline, I suggest having one large protein source a day, such as steak, hamburger, peanut butter, or pork chops. Also, eating the correct amount of vegetables and fruits is super important in regulating many hormones and chemicals in your brain and body that are responsible for the potential panic attack. Every body is different, so every nutritional plan will be different. The next tip is to exercise daily. So when I started weightlifting, I definitely noticed a decrease in my panic attacks. Exercising once a day for at least 30 minutes helps many people. And you can actually start to reduce the total number of attacks per week. You can do cardio, calisthenics, or heavy weightlifting. As long as your heart rate was up, you'll gain benefits. Obviously, each different type of exercise will work your muscles and brain differently, but there are plenty of studies that an increased heart rate, as well as hypertrophy, can lead to lower blood pressures in the long run and eventually reduce negative stress. I highly suggest a 30-minute jog in the morning. It'll wake you up and get you ready for the rest of the day. Tip number 6 is to breathe deep. Now I know that some people don't have the patience or time to meditate properly, but all you have to do is breathe deep. See, the cool thing is that this is actually an active and passive way to reduce anxiety attacks. Breathe in for 4 seconds, wait for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, and then wait another 4 seconds to repeat. If you do this many times a day, eventually, it will help reduce the total amount of panic attacks, or at least it has in my life. As well as doing this exercise during a panic attack will shorten the length of it and help ground you. Tip number 7 is to talk to someone who is emotionally smart. Now this is super important. When you are having a panic attack, make sure you have someone who loves you and is patient enough to help you and talk you through the panic attack. This could be anyone, a friend, a girlfriend, parents, or even your brother. Someone in your life that you trust and has emotional intelligence to say the right things that calm you down. For most, this is someone you have an attachment with. When you do this, your brain will start focusing on the conversation and not what started the anxiety attack. Make sure you find someone who will do this for you and you'll be very grateful in the long run. Try to talk to them before and make sure that they understand that it could be midnight or 5 p.m. when you get one, and it could last from 5 minutes to all the way to an hour. Tip number 8, basically get in a routine. When you get in a routine, your brain automatically starts to expect things. You can start to establish psychological comfort when you have safety in your environment. For many of those with PTSD, any reminders of previous trauma or the environment of it can induce an attack. I suggest getting up in a routine and setting apart certain blocks of your day for certain things. For me, 6 a.m. is used for waking up, taking a shower, and drinking coffee. Try to bookend your days, making sure that the first hour and the last hour are the same every night. This will give you double comfort and help reduce the total amount of panic attacks. Sometimes just having a chaotic and new environment is enough to cause increased anxiety. So the penultimate tip is to cut back caffeine. In fact, many of your panic attacks could be onset by high caffeine levels. So when you drink any caffeinated drink, the chemical compound tells your adrenal gland to literally release adrenaline, which is what happens whenever you have a panic attack. I highly suggest not having any caffeine up to 8 hours before you go to bed, and it would be best if you could not have any before 12 hours before going to sleep. The half-life of caffeine is 6 hours, which would reduce the potency to 25%. For this exact reason, I only drink coffee first thing when I wake up. I do know that cutting a caffeine addiction is difficult, from personal experience, and upon enough comments on this video, I may make a video on tips on how I went from drinking caffeine all day to just in the morning. So the last tip is to talk to a doctor. Sometimes anxiety and stress problems can be caused by internal sources, stuff that is indirectly related to your environment, stuff like chemicals in your brain that you can't physically control. When this happens, you need to talk to a specialized doctor who may recommend a certain medication to help with this problem. They may also have more tailored tips to exercises that you can take that are better than those listed in this video.
This tip really calms my anxiety. I'm going to be using it for the rest of my life, and it's so simple and so weird. So here it is. I do it and it actually works. I'm going to call it triangle breathing. Triangle breathing is just how it sounds. Let's do that together. Through the nose and out the mouth. Through the nose and out the mouth. Okay, that rhythm of breathing, when you're anxious, you want to do longer exhales than you do inhales. All right, you want to breathe out way more CO2 than take in oxygen. This really calms down your heart rate, calms you down in general. The reason it's called triangle breathing is because, this is weird, but it actually works for me. Picture a triangle when you are breathing. Alright? Are you picturing a triangle? I'm picturing an equilateral triangle when I breathe. Okay, so you have one side. For those of you who don't know what a triangle is, you have one side, two sides, three sides. When I'm breathing and I'm anxious and I'm trying to calm myself down, I'm picturing this triangle. Follow the lines of the triangle in your mind. And you can even use your hand and trace the triangle like this. Alright, you're in your room, you're in your kitchen, you're in the bathroom and trying to get a hold of yourself because you're at work or at school. Use your finger, inhale. Get the top, exhale. So you want your exhale to be two sides of the triangle and your inhale to be one, because you want your inhale to be shorter. And you literally, in your mind or with your hand, you follow that triangle with your breathing. So let's do it together, alright? You ready? Close your eyes. Picture that triangle. You're going to inhale on one side and exhale on the other two sides. And then you're going to trace the triangle again and again. Alright, so it really, like, you're focusing on your breath. That's one thing for mindfulness and calming anxiety. You want to focus on that breath. This is adding another layer to it to even focus your mind even more on the present moment. It's giving you that shape. It's giving you another point of focus. And that's why for me, and many others, it really works well. It's worked for me for the past week. It's amazing. What I picture in my mind when I do this triangle exercise is like a gradient. It's like when I'm inhaling, it's like this nice blue wave on the line. And then when I exhale, it's like this white. Alright? Like, picture it any way you want. That'll soothe you. But, you know what? For me, I picture the gradient. I picture like a blue side of the triangle or white or yellow. And while you're breathing, shorter inhales, longer exhales, focus on the triangle. I guarantee... No, I'm not going to guarantee. What is this, an infomercial? Hopefully it works for you, alright? And if it does, what do I always say? It's another tool in your mental health toolbox. So when you get anxious, you have a bunch of things to try. A bunch of tools to fix that anxiety.